Hello, people. This is this is the Officer Tatum, a gigantic YouTube channel. Okay. Anyway, somebody like normally I structure this a little bit better, but somebody mentioned that in a video he played down the Tulsa Massacre. Fix chat. Oh, we can fix chat if we need to. That he played down the Tulsa Massacre in one of his videos, and I thought the Tulsa Massacre, where an unbelievable amount of black lives, property, wealth, everything were put to the torch by a mob of angry white rioters. Would the Officer Tatum actually go ahead and downplay this? Well, we already watched a little bit of the clip. I don't know if we can, like, he. Okay, hold on. Just give it to me again.
Showed up to the scene.
Give it to me.
That he got on the elevator, stepped on her toe, and said with a white woman, and he was accused of raping her. People could hear her scream from the elevator. They conveniently leave out that it was reported that she had ripped clothes, and he got.
The leftists conveniently leave out the details of the alleged rape that took place 1 century ago. What he's referring to right now, he's referring to the alleged rape of Sarah Page, a 17-year-old white elevator operator. By the way, never proven in court. It just didn't go to court. You know why? Because Sarah Page declined to prosecute. So this is not something. I just want you guys to know. Back in the 1920s, the idea of a white woman like falsely accusing a black man and it leading to the black man getting lynched was an event so commonplace and so well known that the entire black male community had specifically had media and discourse within itself to prepare for and defend themselves against that possibility. We had wasn't there didn't they make a movie about that? Did they not make a movie about that? Little book, movie from a book? Did anyone ever read that back in high school? This is a thing that happened a lot. Anyway, the rape was never proven in court. I'm not saying it didn't happen for sure. I don't know, but later in this video, and I mean like a minute later, Brandon Tatum is going to talk about this rape like it definitely happened, which is a very weird position to take.
Got charged with raping her. And let's go back to what black people say happened and why it is almost
what black people say happened. Now we're going to the fake narrative that black people tell, as opposed to the true narrative that's factually incorrect, as depicted by Tatum over here.
Actually happened. They are saying, and they want you stupid enough to believe that he got on the elevator, stepped on her toe, and when she screamed, he was being accused of rape. As if she didn't lament to the fact that he had raped her or done anything nefarious to her.
So I want you to really contemplate the narrative that he's trying to push right now. So it's a fact that the girl did not push for prosecution, and it's a fact that there is no evidence one way or another as to the rape. We don't know. It was never subjected to the detective work that a police force would have engaged in to substantiate a prosecution. So we do not know. So what he's saying right now is that the foolish black people in America, they want you to believe he just stepped on her toe and she screamed. And then what was that he did afterwards? He like stuttered out some kind of contrapositive, like but actually they don't even think that actually she didn't think maybe there was a rape. I'm not entirely sure what the point he's trying to make here was, but I know the tone he was trying to deliver it with. And it's essentially the idea that black people in America are living some kind of coddled, the soy-filled, coddled existence of a black person in America and their comfy blanket story of the Tulsa Massacre, But this guy's coming in with the truth. Anyway, it gets worse.
So he got arrested, and a black mob of people, residents, showed up to support him, to make sure he wasn't going to get lynched, because they had heard rumors that he was going to get lynched. Some of the black people that showed up was armed. This is the first encounter. This is the first process of people that showed up to the scene. Was black people, some of which were armed, to make sure that the black kid.
First of all, oh no, people organizing to prevent a lynching? What a, oh dear, what a travesty of justice. This is also incorrect, by the way. What actually happened, and I'm just going to read directly from the Wikipedia article on this 100-year-old event, that none of us have any direct engagement with. He was taken into custody, he being the black man who was accused of rape. After the arrest, rumors spread throughout the city that Roland, that's the guy, was to be lynched, not an uncommon occurrence in the 1920s. Upon hearing reports that a mob of hundreds of white men had gathered around the jail where Roland was being kept, a group of 75 black men, some of whom were armed, arrived at the jail in order to ensure that he would not be lynched. So to be clear, Brandon Tatum says, like, the armed black people showed up first. That's not true. There was already a violent mob of white people that were surrounding the jail. And if you don't think they were violent, I ask you, why exactly would a mob of white people surround a jail which contained an already arrested black man who had just been accused of rape by a white woman? What would explain to me the productive function of a white mob gathering around an incarcerated black man who's already in a prison cell? Just, if you have even the slightest understanding of of how pre-civil rights era America worked with regards to race relations and lynchings. I mean, if you even like heard about this in media, you know what's happening here, right? Now the sheriff persuaded the group to leave the jail, assuring them they had the situation under control. The sheriff said to the black people, "Hey, go on home." And gotta say, if I was part of that group of black people, not sure if I would trust the I'm gonna assume the sheriff was white. That's just a guess. You can look that up. I'm just gonna assume that's the case. So if there were rumors that the guy was gonna be lynched, and then the white sheriff, surrounded by the white mob around the jail, was like, no problems here. Go on home. Nothing to worry about. I'd be a little suspicious. Anyway, a shot broke out. Nobody knows who fired the first shot. Seriously, lost to history. It's not known. And then shooting began. 10 white people were killed and 2 black people, which I have to say is the only point during this story where more white people will be dead than black people. This is pretty much the only time that is going to be the case.
It wasn't going to get lynched in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the district of what they call Black Wall Street. Let's keep going. So in the spirit of these black people doing that, and there were white people who had heard that a black man raped a young girl on an elevator, they showed up. And reports say a shot was fired.
See, now he says the white people showed up afterwards, which is not true. Also, I like the way he enunciated rape. Like, they had heard an accusation. Does Tatum think he's a police officer, isn't he? Or a former police officer? Does he think that it's normal for there to be an accused subject incarcerated and then a mob forms outside and like rumors of lynching take place? Is that like a normal thing that he would defend like normally?
The reports doesn't say who shot first. It says the shots were fired. And 10 white people died and 2 black people died initially. Or something of that nature. It was more white people that died than black people initially. And then when obviously rumors went around that these things had occurred, then more white people showed up and it was a full out BLM. That's what it is. It was a BLM.
And this is the part that I like the most, okay? So what happened after the shootout outside the jail was a white mob ran through Tulsa and just annihilated a portion of the city, burning and looting and killing and maiming. Many black people were killed. About 10,000 black people were left homeless. I want, again, about 10,000 black people were left homeless. And more fled the city for, let's say, fairly obvious reasons. You know, I probably felt unsafe there. The 2020 equivalent of $33 million of property damage was done. And, the local newspapers refused to cover the events. I think the Tulsa Examiner, I think the local newspaper said something like 2 white people die in race riots when like 100 black people were dead and the whole city was burning. You know, the white people were burning down the whole black neighborhoods. It's like, oh, white people die. Kind of like what editor Tatum. I like that, you know? He could have been on the board, you know? He could have been like to the century-old newspaper writers. Say, This is like BLM. And they'll ask, what is BLM? It's 1921. Also, you're black. We don't like you because we're racist, and that's why we're writing this newspaper. And as he gets escorted out of the building, he shouts loudly over the fanfare, tell them it's like BLM, tell them it's like BLM. So, again, BLM doesn't and hasn't done this at any point, anywhere, to any groups of people. This isn't happening. The idea that BLM has targeted a neighborhood because of its racial demographics and leveled it, this is, well, I guess this is what you were allowed to get away with after you've lied to your audience for a while and keep using the term burn down cities. There are actually Republicans who believe that BLM has burned down cities. Real cities. Like, guys, I've been to Portland. I've been to LA. I've been to Seattle. These cities are still here. We're usually talking about a couple buildings, you know? Oh my God, the Denny's got lit on fire. This is exactly like the Tulsa Massacre, you know? It's just, guys, they're looting the Target. This is like when they annihilated one of the largest centers of black wealth in the country, killed dozens, and left tens of thousands of people homeless. You know, it's not the Target. Not the Target. Anyway, this video, as you can see, it goes on for a while, and I haven't seen much of it other than what I've seen here, but this is, well, this is very interesting behavior. The title is "The 1921 Tulsa Massacre Was a Big Lie," but if you actually go through the video, I'm actually so confident that I'd be willing to bet this. He never actually explains how it's a lie. Instead, what he says is the narrative isn't true, and then he says incorrect things, and then he charges people who say correct things for not kowtowing to his ridiculous... I mean, how far gone do you gotta be as a black man to downplay the Tulsa Massacre and compare it to BLM? I genuinely, like, this is truly beyond the pale to me, you know? It's actually past, like, Blair White stuff. To me, this would be more like if Blair White did, like trans panic defense killing review videos, and Blair White was like, okay, she looked pretty mannish. I'd say he was good to kill her. That's gross. That's like the level I think we're at right now. Like, that would be that's the we're below ground level here. This is like the wine cellar level of content creation. Oh man. Oh, anyway, yeah, I mean, you can watch the whole video if you want. I think the whole thing's probably pretty stupid and reprehensible. He's talking to his phone. I mean, it's a vertical video, so this is probably just a rambly stream of consciousness video from a person who, let's be real, this guy was a cop, okay? Surprised he can tie his shoelaces, but he's trying to recount a century-old set of historical events to push a political narrative. Anyway, Tatum, if you ever want to, like, talk sometime, we talked before. I was very convinced by your argument that all data that has ever existed is irrelevant because your personal experience isn't representative of the mean sample of all existing data. That was a pretty good argument, you know? I wonder... I like, can we talk, man? Can we... This is... I hope you're doing okay, all right? I hope this isn't like a cry for help. It's definitely a cry for attention. Anyway, all right, back to games. Skip everyone. Okay, out of the politics. Out of the politics. Go, go, go.